field is the 5. Speaking of Shadow, with one start under her belt, it was a good one. A win in 59-2 makes her the top choice at 1-2 right now as these 2-year-old fillies move up in behind the Metro Home Building Center starting gate. It's post time for race 2. Back over to track announcer Vance Cameron for the race call.
Scarlet Summer, Salisbrook Pixie, good day, mate. Redland Bethany Jean, speaking of Shadow, top of the stretch. Here they come. Rough and pacing and right to the front goes. Speaking of Shadow, Scarlet Summer into the turn will be second. That's Redland Bethany Jean to pick up third off stride. Scarlet Shadow went on the run, and McLean put her in the safety lane. Out of harm's way. Up the backstretch they go, and all alone on the lead. Speaking of Shadow for Mike McGuigan. Second is Redland Bethany Jean. Racing from third here in the early going is Salisbrook Pixie. G'day Maid is fourth, and in the backfield, Scarlet Summer is the trailer. So the 2-year-olds are well strung out off at 29 and 2 openers. So loose on the lead. Speaking of Shadow, starting to close up second is Redland Bethany Jean. Now in third, coming off the turn, is Salisbrook Pixie. G'day Maid is fourth, and the trailer fifth, Scarlet Summer. They approach the opening half mile next, and speaking of Shadow, the 1-9 chalk right there at the opening half mile. The lead only 2. Racing second is Redland Bethany Jean, Salisbrook Pixie. Into the turn third. Fourth is G'day Mate, and the trailer, that is Scarlet Summer, 59, and 1 was the half. 3/8 left to go, and speaking of Shadow, extending the lead back to 3.5. Racing second, Redland Bethany Jean. Back into third is Salisbrook Pixie. Then in fourth, G'day Mate, and the trailer, that is Scarlet Summer, 3/4. That goes to Speaking of Shadow, and there in 1:29. Redland Bethany Jean, she goes off stride in the 2-hole. So turning for home, it's all over. Speaking of Shadow, is all alone turning home. Salisbrook Pixie is second, G'day Mate third. It's Speaking of Shadow to make it 2 in a row. In line to Mike McGuigan. Second is Salisbrook Pixie. G'day Mate is third. Time for the mile, 1:57 and 2, closing it out in 28 and 2.
Okay, we're going to get a look at the slow-mo here for race number 2. It was a good look at 2-year-old fillies here on a Thursday night, and Mike McGuigan's filly looks super here. That is Speaking of Shadow right down the highway here tonight. 2-year-old filly by Art Speak, 29 and 2, half 59 and 1, 129, 157 and 2 is a mile at Sparkling last quarter, 28 and 2. She looked good here tonight, getting it done and lowering her previous best there of 59 and 2, lowering it by 2 seconds here tonight. She gets it done in race 2. We had a couple breakers in there, Scarlet Summer and Redland Bethany Jean. They both broke in stride, so G'day Mate and Salisbrook Pixie finished second and third in here, but it was Speaking of Shadow getting it done for McGuigan in the second.
Speaking of Shadow, arrives at the second race winner's circle. Bay pacing filly 2 by Arch Peak off the Shadow Play Dam Silver Hill Bunna. Owned by Josh McDonald of Edmonton, Alberta. Mark McDonald of Cornwall, trained and driven to victory by Mike McGuigan. The filly remains perfect in her early career, now 2 for 2, and she'll pace to a new race win record tonight of 157 and 2. Speaking of Shadow, delivers in the second.